Hello, my name is Cezanne Ferris Gilbert. I'm the lead product designer at Chris Brand Agency for our client AViiQ. Today we're going to take a look at the very first AViiQ product, which is the portable laptop stand. AViiQ started out as a mandate from one of our clients, Pine Technology Holdings, to create products outside of their core competency, which is graphics cards, because they felt that, and correctly, that the desktop computer market was shrinking, and so they wanted to move to where they saw that market going, which was specifically laptop accessories. So we did some research and came up with some ideas on possible directions we could take the client in terms of their first product. We graphed this kind of on a scale of initial capital expenditure, on the left side being very expensive, on the right side being very inexpensive, and how far away from their core competency it really was. And what we came to, kind of the most viable option, was a roll-up cooling pad based on a product that I will show you in a second. They chose it because it was a laptop accessory. The capital expenditure is very low. It was very far away from what they were doing already, and the solution they considered to be somewhat clever. So the initial concept was based on this laptop cooling pad. It's a series of extruded aluminum rods that are held together by silicone, based off of a makisu, which is essentially a sushi roller. And I looked at this and I realized that right now it's only really rigid on one axis. So really what it does is it's just almost like a placemat for your computer. It doesn't really lift it up off the table. It doesn't really improve airflow and doesn't really improve ergonomics. But I realized that if you add essentially two additional hinge points that are perpendicular to kind of the initial rolling direction, and you folded them over, that the whole thing would end up becoming rigid. So this was the initial idea for the project. One of the first things I did was try to figure out how that we could create something that hinges in multiple axes. We could make it out of a soft good, we could sew it, or we could put little leather things. But then what I realized kind of the simplest way to do it was to do it in tool using a live hinge. Very simple, but there were problems with the strength. Some of the larger 17-inch workstation laptop stands can be pretty heavy, and we wanted something that was a little stronger. So we did some research into alternatives, and we came across this material called Highlight, which is two aluminum sheets bonded to a polypropylene core. And when you mill away the aluminum, the plastic that's left over becomes flexible. So you have the strength in the aluminum planes plus the flexibility in the plastic hinges. So then we looked at different ways that this could function. Different ways it could fold up for ease of portability, different ways it could fold up, different ways it can hold itself up at an angle. We explored all sorts of different options. This one actually made it through to sketch phase, where we looked at how it actually worked in reality. And it was okay, except that it needed a fastener in order to hold the let's call it the outrigger triangles together to really kind of get the structure. And it was a little bit more complicated in a way. I mean, it's a very simple design, but we wanted something that was exceptionally simple. So we looked at other things. On the right-hand side was the second direction, where we had essentially small legs that you punch down when you fold it over, and it's supported by those legs. We looked at the sketch model for that, and there was just too much stress on the legs, and so we continued to explore, and we came across this direction, which satisfied our need to be very simple. There weren't a lot of milling details, which increased cost, and proved to be the simplest as well as the most functional. So we actually had this one made in Highlight. We had feet prototyped out of soft SLA, and actually tried it out with some laptops. It worked wonderfully. The only thing that was missing is it needed a lock, so we modified the feet that go into the tab holes to have essentially a locking mechanism on them. We explored different ways to brand the product. At this point, we were still developing the AViiQ brand alongside the development of the product itself, and we came up with the idea of the magenta hit in the lower right hand corner, which mimics the AViiQ logo that we created, and also that using this brand position was kind of very clean and went along with the overall aesthetic cleanliness of the product. This is a rendering of the nameplate in use and what the product will look like in essentially on the shelf. The one thing that we wanted to do as well was to have essentially a carrying case for the product. Not entirely necessary. When you put it in your bag, the bag holds it shut. But if you wanted to protect the product more than putting it in your bag, we wanted to include some sort of sleeve for it. So we explored different directions. We made some mock-ups. This is a mock-up of a full version. Then we kind of went in a different direction and did something that was very inexpensive and very simple, which was essentially to put it in a sunglass sleeve that was custom made to be as long as the product. And this is the final closure system. Then we moved into packaging. The original idea was to package it partially open to show how it essentially folds up. Then we moved into showing it in use as a laptop stand. So we created this package which shows it in its in-use position. The front flap folds up, and the plastic case has a debossed keyboard on it, so you can imagine what your laptop would look on top of it. This proved to take up too much space at retail, even though conceptually it's very nice. So we went with a much simpler, very clean, somewhat, let's say, upscale design direction. It's presented almost like a ring, a piece of jewelry, something that someone would want more than need, and a simple white sleeve on the outside. This is the final package with the product inside. There's a little slot for the microfiber bag, magnetic closures, and then this is the final product. Especially from the side view, and when being held, it's extremely lightweight. In use, you can actually use it reversed, so that if you are essentially sitting in plane with your computer, you would use it where the lifting triangle would be at the back, or the opposite, if you are sitting above it in this use position, you would use it in this way. And that is the story of the AViiQ portable laptop stand.